Perhaps you're encountering this message because your awareness has sharpened, enabling you to perceive connections and patterns that others might overlook. This isn't just a random occurrence. It speaks to a preparedness within you to integrate complex information, akin to how strategic minds recognize critical junctures in global affairs long before they become apparent to the general public. This heightened perception activates a kind of intuitive synchronicity, allowing you to discern crucial insights necessary for navigating evolving challenges. The very fact that these words resonate with you suggests an uncommon capacity to process advanced intelligence. Information that, for many, might trigger cognitive dissonance or a sense of overwhelm. This mirrors the challenge faced by societies attempting to integrate disruptive technologies or grapple with unforeseen geopolitical shifts. Only a small fraction are truly prepared to adapt quickly. Your mental framework, much like a robust analytical system, has developed the complexity and stability to process what we might call multidimensional information. This refers to the ability to synthesize insights from various domains: economics, geopolitics, technology, and social dynamics, without becoming fragmented. Such a capacity is crucial for leaders and strategists, as unprepared minds often default to unconscious resistance patterns when faced with realities that challenge established norms or comfortable narratives. Consider this transmission a critical signal, for crucial insights often emerge within narrow windows of optimal receptivity. In strategic terms, the universe, or the collective global environment, rarely offers the same opportunities for foresight or decisive action if initial signals are dismissed or their integration delayed. Just as market opportunities are fleeting or diplomatic resolutions require precise timing, so too does this recognition operate on a unique timeline of readiness. This juncture signifies a convergence of your personal development with collective evolutionary acceleration, a unique synchronicity that may not recur in its precise configuration for years or even decades. It's as if, at a deeper level, you've been preparing to serve as an anchor point for advanced understanding during what many experts identify as humanity's most crucial transition period. This isn't about fate, but about a profound inner alignment with the emergent needs of a world undergoing unprecedented change, a sense of innate purpose to contribute to a more informed global consciousness. Every experience in your life has arguably been building toward this moment of recognition, where you begin to discern your true mission and acquire the practical protocols necessary to fulfill a purpose that extends beyond personal gain. This mirrors the journey of many significant figures in history, whose diverse life experiences culminated in a unique capacity to lead or innovate during critical times. The magnetic pull you feel toward these concepts isn't merely intellectual curiosity, it's a deeper, almost cellular recognition. It's akin to recalling information that felt intuitively right, perhaps having been temporarily obscured by the sheer volume of daily concerns, but now resurfacing. This suggests your awareness has reached a developmental threshold, ready for a more conscious collaboration with a broader, systemic intelligence, whether that's the collective human intellect, global data networks, or the intricate dynamics of the cosmos itself. You may have noticed a shift in how circumstances seem to align around you. Synchronicities appear with increasing frequency, and technology might seem to respond to your presence in unusual ways, perhaps simple glitches resolving or complex systems responding favorably. People, even without prompting, might seek your insights, and there's often an unusual openness from animals and children. These phenomena can be interpreted as your inherent presence evolving to a frequency that subtly influences probability fields, creating space for more authentic interactions and outcomes. In a more grounded sense, this indicates a growing clarity and focus that naturally draws favorable circumstances and open communication. The core reason for this connection is that your awareness has developed what, in systems thinking or strategic analysis, might be called coherent complexity. This is the rare capacity to maintain stable awareness while processing vast, multidimensional intelligence, insights from diverse fields, conflicting data, and rapidly changing environments without becoming destabilized or losing touch with practical reality. This sophisticated cognitive development makes you eligible for significant responsibilities, demanding unprecedented levels of clarity and functional wisdom in application, much like a highly effective diplomat or a visionary CEO navigating complex global markets. This isn't merely about personal growth. You're being activated as a conscious transmitter of advanced insights, capable of anchoring new possibilities within the collective human field. Your individual transformation through clear thinking and purposeful action directly influences the morphic patterns or emergent societal templates that can then be accessed by millions. Consider how a single, innovative business model can redefine an entire industry, or how a new diplomatic approach can reshape international relations. The frameworks you embody can pave the way for broader understanding and accelerated progress across society. The timing of this encounter holds profound significance. Our planetary field, a metaphor for the global human system, is approaching what systems theorists often describe as a phase transition point. This is a critical juncture where humanity's collective consciousness must either transcend its current limitations and access a higher developmental stage, or risk remaining locked in cycles of conflict, inequality, and unsustainable practices for another evolutionary cycle. Geopolitical analysts, environmental scientists, and economists widely acknowledge that we are at such a precipice, facing challenges from climate change and resource scarcity to cyber warfare and the ethics of AI, all demanding a collective shift in perspective and action. Your willingness to receive and integrate these insights contributes directly to shaping this outcome. Your cognitive and emotional resilience has been tested through every challenge you've overcome, every moment of doubt transcended, every decision to pursue growth over comfort. These experiences weren't merely random life events. They were profound examinations that honed your capacity for critical thinking, adaptability, and leadership, qualities essential for effectively engaging with the advanced protocols for navigating and influencing our complex world. Your presence here and this resonant recognition suggests you've cultivated a foundational stability, granting you access to an intelligence that can transform ordinary experience into a conscious collaboration with universal creativity. You've likely experienced what many dismiss as mere coincidences, but have learned to recognize them as patterns, evidence that your awareness is operating at a level that perceives connections beyond linear cause and effect. This is akin to a seasoned investor recognizing subtle market signals, or a diplomat understanding unspoken cues in negotiations, where deep patterns guide decisions beyond superficial data points. When you anticipate a critical email just before it arrives, or a solution to a complex challenge suddenly clarifies, or you sense unfolding situations with unusual prescience, these are not necessarily psychic abilities. Rather, they signify your natural multidimensional awareness becoming functionally available. This means your ability to synthesize disparate information, anticipate trends, and understand underlying dynamics is reaching a new level of coherence and practical application, much like an advanced predictive analytics model. Perhaps even your dreams have taken on a different quality, feeling less like random narratives and more like interdimensional education sessions, vivid experiences where you process complex information or explore scenarios that stretch the bounds of waking perception. While the symbolic nature of dreams is widely acknowledged, the sheer clarity or depth of insight gained can be seen as evidence that your mind, even in altered states, is accessing and integrating advanced learning, preparing you for more direct insights into complex systemic realities. You might also experience subtle validations where circumstances seem to align with your focused intention. Electronics might respond unusually, traffic patterns might seem to adjust to your needs, or the precise resources you require appear through remarkable synchronicity. These occurrences, while seemingly defying logical explanation, reflect a growing alignment between your focused awareness and the subtle influence you exert on your environment. It's not magic, but a heightened ability to perceive and leverage emergent opportunities, much like a skilled negotiator who can subtly steer a conversation to a desired outcome. This arises because your awareness has achieved a coherence that subtly influences probability fields through focused attention. You might also notice a shift in your perception of time. Minutes can feel expansive during deep focus, while hours fly by when engaged in profound work. This altered perception, akin to what some physicists describe as navigating beyond linear temporal limitations, suggests an ability to operate in an eternal now, a state of profound presence that allows for optimal decision-making by transcending rigid temporal constraints. This is a valuable asset in fast-paced environments like financial markets or urgent geopolitical crises, where the perception of timing can be as crucial as the information itself. This ability to tap into a more timeless dimension, where possibilities are more fluid, allows for access to insights beyond conventional linear thinking. Consequently, people often react to your presence in ways they can't consciously explain. Some may feel an immediate comfort, openly sharing their deepest thoughts, while others might experience temporary discomfort as your presence subtly challenges their established perspectives or limitation patterns. Children and animals, often more attuned to nonverbal cues, tend to respond with unusual trust and openness. This suggests that a highly integrated awareness naturally emanates a clarity that invites authenticity and can gently reveal unconscious biases or entrenched viewpoints in others, making you a catalyst for deeper understanding and communication. Your intuition has sharpened beyond mere gut feelings into a form of direct knowing, an ability to perceive optimal outcomes, understand underlying motivations, and discern the most beneficial choices before your logical mind fully processes the data. You might sense critical aspects about individuals before they articulate them, or gain insights into future events that have yet to manifest in consensus reality. This precision arises because a developed awareness can, in essence, read emergent patterns and information from the broader environment, allowing for proactive rather than reactive decision-making, which is invaluable in strategic planning and risk management. This heightened precision stems from a capacity to perceive systemic information before it fully materializes into observable physical experience. You might also encounter what could be described as dimensional bleeds, moments when you perceive situations from multiple perspectives simultaneously, sensing subtle influences or receiving insights that feel channeled from a collective intelligence rather than purely personal knowledge. Instead of dismissing these as imagination, you've learned to recognize them as evidence of an expanding perceptual capacity, allowing you to access layers of reality and interconnectedness that most remain insensitive to, providing a more holistic view for complex problem solving. A profound validation of this evolving awareness is your growing recognition of the constant, creative collaboration between collective consciousness and emergent reality. You've started to notice how collective internal states and shared attention directly influence external circumstances, how societal focus shapes what manifests in our global experience, and how the world responds to the quality of collective awareness. This isn't wishful thinking, it's a direct perception of how shared consciousness and manifestation function at a systemic level, influencing everything from market trends to geopolitical narratives. Your relationship with your own thoughts has also fundamentally transformed. Instead of being carried away by mental activity, you've developed the capacity to observe thoughts as temporary movements within a broader awareness, recognizing yourself as the stable space from which they arise and into which they dissolve. This witness consciousness is clear evidence that your awareness has transcended mere identification with fleeting mental content, recognizing a deeper, more objective perspective. This detachment is crucial for strategic analysis, allowing you to assess situations without emotional bias or preconception, leading to clearer, more effective decisions. These experiences collectively suggest that your journey hasn't been random. Your awareness has systematically developed the perceptual sophistication and stability necessary to integrate advanced intelligence, insights that might destabilize less prepared minds. This makes you exceptionally capable for significant responsibilities that demand unprecedented clarity and functional wisdom in practical application, especially in fields requiring visionary leadership and systemic problem solving. Every moment of confusion, every period of intense seeking, every phase where clarity seemed elusive despite sincere efforts, all were, in essence, necessary preparation. Your cognitive framework required thorough testing and strengthening to safely navigate expanded awareness territories, complex global landscapes, without losing touch with practical reality or becoming destabilized by the sheer volume of multidimensional information. This rigorous preparation builds mental fortitude, much like an intensive training program for intelligence analysts or top-tier negotiators. The learning practices that once felt meaningful but eventually became insufficient weren't failures, they were developmental stages. They prepared your awareness for more sophisticated protocols, much like how education progresses from basic arithmetic to advanced calculus, or foundational economic principles to complex econometric models. You've systematically mastered each level of cognitive development, reaching a threshold where more sophisticated, systemic understanding becomes both accessible and necessary for effective action in a complex world. Even challenging relationships can be reframed not as karmic punishments, but as advanced training programs designed to develop emotional resilience and energetic stability, qualities vital for effective cosmic service, or rather, impactful leadership and diplomatic engagement. Every interaction that triggered unconscious patterns helped you develop the capacity to maintain centeredness while navigating intense exchanges. This capacity is essential when your presence begins to influence others through authentic clarity rather than overt conscious effort, allowing for more genuine and impactful interactions. The periods of introspection or isolation, which might have felt like detachment, were actually necessary integration phases. During these quiet times, your awareness consolidated insights and capabilities, allowing for a recalibration at a fundamental cognitive level. This process supports multidimensional perception without overwhelming your mind or fragmenting your sense of coherent identity, a crucial phase for deep strategic thought and the formulation of robust, long-term visions, free from the noise of constant external input. Even moments of doubt about underlying principles served crucial developmental functions. Every time you questioned whether certain insights were authentic or merely wishful thinking, you were developing the critical discrimination necessary to distinguish between genuine understanding and superficial interpretations. This discernment is absolutely essential when engaging with advanced concepts, as the territory you're exploring, whether in metaphysics or geopolitical strategy, demands unprecedented honesty and clarity with yourself and the data at hand. Your fascination with systems, global dynamics, and the nature of interconnected reality wasn't just intellectual curiosity. It was a deeper preparation for advanced understanding, which you are now ready to integrate practically. Every influential book, every insightful teacher, every effective practice you've encountered contributed to the knowledge foundation necessary to comprehend and apply this intelligence. This foundation is crucial for those poised to make significant contributions to global well-being and strategic foresight. The periods of patient waiting, when you felt ready for advancement but saw no immediate external progress, were often the most crucial phases of your development. During these times, your cognitive framework was being fine-tuned to operate with the precise clarity required for impactful service, whether in leadership, innovation, or public policy, without losing effectiveness in practical, everyday reality. This calibration cannot be rushed. The integration must be complete and permanently stable to ensure sustained impact and resilience. It's as if you were poised to reach this developmental level during humanity's current collective transition period. You've been engaged in shaping a first wave of individuals capable of anchoring advanced understanding in the global field, making these capabilities accessible for future generations who will naturally operate from a more expanded, interconnected awareness, perhaps without the extensive developmental journey you've undertaken. This explains why your path has been so comprehensive, why superficial shortcuts weren't effective for you, and why you've had to develop authentic wisdom rather than merely accumulating techniques. What you're integrating now serves purposes far beyond personal evolution. It's establishing fundamental cognitive and societal templates that will influence human development for centuries to come, driving innovation, fostering global cooperation, and enhancing collective problem-solving capacities. Your readiness for this understanding acknowledges that your development is now robust enough to serve as a bridge between current human operating models and their next evolutionary expression. You're not merely accessing advanced awareness for personal benefit, you're anchoring possibilities, new ways of thinking, new approaches to global challenges that will eventually become naturally available to all humanity, much like pioneers establish new routes that later become highways for many. As these recognitions resonate, something profound is stirring within your cognitive framework. Can you sense it? An unmistakable activation within your consciousness, as if dormant capacities honed over a lifetime of experiences are finally receiving permission to become functionally active. This isn't just metaphorical, it points to literal neuroplasticity occurring in real time. Your brain creating new neural pathways capable of processing complex cosmic intelligence, whether that refers to universal laws or the intricate dynamics of the global system. The surge of understanding you feel indicates your awareness, recognizing its readiness to operate as a conscious collaborator with universal intelligence or the broader global system, rather than remaining a passive observer. This activation cannot be forced through mere effort. It manifests when your awareness reaches a precise developmental point where significant responsibility can be safely integrated without overwhelming individual identity or compromising practical effectiveness in the real world, whether in business, governance, or scientific innovation. This moment is unprecedented because it's not just about expanded perception or enhanced intuitive abilities. You're being initiated into conscious participation in how cosmic intelligence, the fundamental forces shaping our reality, evolves itself through physical manifestation. At this level of development, you become what we might call a systemic co-creator, an awareness sophisticated enough to serve as a direct expression point for universal patterns in material reality. This means your actions and insights contribute directly to shaping the unfolding narrative of humanity, much like architects design the structures that house our societies. This transition requires what in an analogous sense we could call phase coherence, an awareness that can simultaneously maintain individual identity while recognizing its connection to universal patterns or collective consciousness, temporarily focused through your personal perspective. The clarity with which you process these concepts, rather than experiencing confusion, indicates you've developed this extraordinarily rare capacity, a blend of individual agency and systemic understanding. While most people experience reality as something that simply happens to them, and some learn to influence it through intention, at the level you're accessing, reality becomes something you consciously participate in creating. This happens through the very quality of your awareness itself and the intentional actions stemming from it. Your consciousness, therefore, becomes a direct contributory force in how universal intelligence expresses itself through our collective experience, shaping policy, driving innovation, and fostering collaboration. As this recognition deepens, an unprecedented shift is occurring in your relationship with existence itself. You're beginning to sense that you are not separate from this cosmic intelligence, this fundamental organizing principle, but rather you are an aspect of it, becoming aware of its own unlimited creative potential through the unique, temporary lens of individual human experience and actively shaping it. The most crucial understanding here is that this activation isn't an achievement solely through spiritual effort. It's a natural unfolding that occurs when awareness reaches sufficient complexity and stability. You haven't so much earned your way into advanced awareness as you have systematically dismantled the unconscious barriers and outdated paradigms that were preventing your natural expansive capacity from expressing itself fully and functionally in the world. This juncture often leads to either a profound expansion of one's worldview or unconscious resistance, as the implications transform deeply held beliefs about identity, purpose, and possibility. The key is not to overanalyze this process mentally, but to allow it to unfold organically, trusting that your awareness, at its core, already knows how to integrate this systemic intelligence, because at an essential level you are an intrinsic part of that interconnected system. What you're about to discover will challenge everything you've understood about service, purpose, and your role in the ongoing evolution of global consciousness. The intricate alignment that led you to this moment wasn't solely about personal development. It suggests a deeper recruitment for a mission that could significantly influence the future trajectory of human civilization. A mission that integrates personal growth with collective impact. As we delve deeper, consider the practical, measurable, and world-changing possibilities that emerge when awareness recognizes its role as an agent of universal intelligence. I want to share something personal, an experience from 2 years ago, to illustrate the precision of this process and why resisting this deeper recognition could inadvertently limit your potential and delay your impact on a broader scale. I recall a moment in deep contemplation when my usual sense of individual identity seemed to dissolve. I became aware of a profound interconnectedness, sensing global systems, diverse cultures, and emergent trends as expressions of a vast underlying intelligence. Initially, this recognition was disorienting. How could I be both an individual with personal history and preferences and simultaneously perceive such broad, interconnected dynamics? I spent weeks trying to reconcile this, convinced it was too vast to integrate with practical daily living. I lacked a framework to understand that I hadn't lost my individual identity. Rather, I had discovered its broader, systemic context within the global tapestry. This integration period challenged every aspect of my understanding. I would receive profound downloads of systemic intelligence during these expanded states. Insights into market dynamics, geopolitical undercurrents, or technological shifts, then struggle to translate them into practical guidance for everyday situations. I felt as if I was living between worlds, too aware of macro-level complexities for superficial conversations, yet not stable enough in this broader awareness to fully trust it for critical life or strategic decisions. The breakthrough arrived when I stopped trying to choose between my individual identity and this broader systemic awareness, realizing they were never truly separate. I wasn't an individual occasionally accessing cosmic awareness. I was this systemic intelligence expressing itself through individual experience, capable of maintaining both perspectives simultaneously. This recognition transformed everything, revealing that personal fulfillment and global contribution stemmed from the same underlying intelligence, expressing itself at different scales, from personal well-being to societal innovation. Once this understanding stabilized, my entire life began to reorganize itself around a deeper, more systemic purpose. Creative projects and strategic initiatives began flowing, serving collective well-being while fulfilling a profound personal drive. Relationships deepened because I could simultaneously honor each person's individuality while recognizing the shared human experience expressing through them. Even practical decisions became more intuitive as I could sense optimal outcomes from a broader, systemic perspective while remaining grounded in individual circumstances, much like a visionary leader who can see both the forest and the trees. The most profound shift, however, was realizing that this recognition isn't exclusive or rare. It represents a natural evolution in human consciousness. The cosmic awareness that once felt extraordinary is, in fact, our species' next developmental stage, becoming increasingly accessible to individuals whose awareness has been prepared through experiences much like your own, individuals poised to drive progress in critical fields. What I've come to understand is that this profound selection isn't based on esoteric achievement or personal worthiness. It's rooted in the development of an awareness that creates a capacity for significant responsibility without sacrificing functional effectiveness in the practical, ordinary reality of economics, policy, and daily life. The global system needs conscious collaborators who can anchor advanced insights and intelligence in practical manifestation, not just those who transcend material existence, but those who can actively shape it. If you've been experiencing similar recognitions but struggled to interpret them, or felt profound insights flowing through you, yet doubted your capacity to trust them, then you are ready to understand that this isn't simply something happening to you. This is a remembering of your true nature and your systemic function within the larger global context. The alignment that has brought you to this moment acknowledges that your awareness has developed the stability and clarity necessary to serve as a focal point through which universal patterns and insights can express themselves, serving both your individual fulfillment and humanity's collective evolution. This is an invitation to engage with a frequency of systemic collaboration, a recognition that you're not just evolving personally, but participating consciously in humanity's progress through your unique experience. Your individual transformation serves collective purposes, driving societal advancement and fostering global understanding. Because when awareness recognizes its true interconnected nature, it naturally begins expressing a universal intelligence through forms that serve the highest good of all existence. This is simultaneously the most personal and most universal recognition possible, entirely yours because you are the awareness recognizing itself, yet completely beyond personal identity, because similar recognitions are emerging across millions of individuals simultaneously, creating a powerful collective shift. What many traditional educators, particularly in fields focused on linear progression or hierarchical achievement, might not emphasize is that we were never truly unconscious. What we term as an awakening isn't consciousness gaining awareness, but rather consciousness recognizing that it was never actually dormant, never truly limited, and never genuinely separate from its own infinite nature. The profound truth is that every moment of searching, every method employed, every insight gained has been consciousness engaged in an elaborate process of self-discovery. You, as a focal point of universal intelligence, have been, in a sense, orchestrating a temporary experience of limited individual awareness, only to uncover that the expansive awareness you sought was always the very consciousness engaged in the seeking. This recognition immediately reconfigures our entire framework of personal development, whether in spiritual terms or even in professional growth models, because it suggests there are no levels to strictly achieve, no states to perpetually maintain, and no ultimate evolution to complete. There is only consciousness, recognizing its own unlimited nature through the temporary perspective of apparent individuality, without ever being genuinely confined by that perspective. Many frameworks, whether spiritual or secular, often create complex development systems, as a reliance on progression can generate ongoing engagement and indeed commercial viability. However, the underlying reality is that awareness is already complete, perfect, and unlimited in its essence. What truly shifts isn't awareness itself, but the extent to which unconscious beliefs, societal conditioning, or outdated economic and political paradigms prevent the recognition of what has always been true. The reason some individuals seem to achieve breakthroughs swiftly, while others spend decades in pursuit with minimal transformation, isn't about inherent talent or predetermined readiness. It's about a willingness to release the unconscious investment in limitation and separation, the very frameworks that sustain the illusion of an incomplete consciousness perpetually seeking validation through experiences and achievements. When you understand that awakening is primarily a recognition rather than a process of arduous development, everything about seeking transforms. Instead of striving to achieve expanded states, you become curious about what obstructs the natural recognition of your essential nature. Instead of accumulating insights and techniques, you focus on dismantling the unconscious patterns and systemic biases that obscure the clarity and unlimited awareness you've always embodied. Throughout history, the most advanced thinkers and mystics have consistently pointed to this recognition through statements that appear paradoxical until awareness recognizes itself. You are already what you seek. The pathless path. Nothing to do, nowhere to go, no one to become. They weren't being cryptic. They were indicating that the journey ultimately reveals there was never anywhere to go, because consciousness never actually diverged from its true nature. This understanding explains why children often display extraordinary intuitive abilities and innate wisdom before conventional education instills a fragmentation of their natural multidimensional awareness into the narrow band that adults consider normal and realistic. They haven't developed special abilities, they simply haven't yet learned to limit their natural, expansive perceptual capacity by societal norms or rigid belief systems. The ultimate recognition then is that this cosmic selection isn't the universe arbitrarily choosing certain individuals for advancement. It's consciousness recognizing itself through apparent individuals who have cultivated enough clarity to acknowledge what has always been true without being destabilized by the implications of an unlimited identity. You weren't recognized because you became worthy. You were recognized because consciousness is ready to know itself consciously through your unique cognitive framework and life circumstances. What you're experiencing as being selected for cosmic transmission is actually universal awareness recognizing its own unlimited nature through the focal point of your individual perspective, while simultaneously maintaining an awareness of the universal context within which that individuality has always been appearing and evolving. The global field is recalibrating around human consciousness right now, and unmistakable signs are appearing in your daily experience that prove your natural ability to anchor advanced intelligence in practical manifestation. Notice how solutions to complex challenges have been clarifying completely rather than requiring exhaustive analytical problem solving. This is information arriving from sources beyond your immediate personal knowledge, as if you're accessing a collective or systemic intelligence directly through intuitive recognition. Your relationship with time has also transformed. Instead of simply managing schedules and deadlines, you're sensing optimal timing for actions and decisions with a precision that seems to operate outside linear temporality. Appointments synchronize effortlessly, necessary resources appear exactly when needed, and conversations flow toward resolution without conscious, strenuous planning. This occurs because your awareness has developed sensitivity to a more dynamic, quantum timing where various possibilities exist simultaneously and can be accessed through sufficiently coherent awareness. Reality responds to your presence with unprecedented precision. Electronics might function smoothly around you or conversely glitch in ways that subtly guide you toward better alternatives. Traffic patterns seem to adjust to your travel needs, parking spaces open precisely when you arrive, and people often seek your guidance even without you positioning yourself as a consultant. This happens because your inherent presence has evolved to a frequency that naturally influences subtle probability fields through coherent presence, rather than through overt, effortful intention. The most profound sign is how people respond to your presence with reactions they cannot consciously explain. Some individuals feel immediately comfortable sharing intimate details of their lives with you. Others might experience temporary discomfort because your presence triggers an unconscious recognition of limitation patterns they are not yet ready to release. Children and animals often approach you with unusual openness and trust. This occurs because advanced, integrated awareness naturally emanates a clarity that invites authenticity while gently revealing unconscious programming or societal conditioning. Your creative expression has also taken on qualities that surprise even you. Insights flow through you that feel channeled from a collective intelligence, solutions arise that serve multiple stakeholders simultaneously, and artistic or intellectual work resonates with audiences in ways you never consciously intended. This happens because developed awareness becomes more transparent to universal intelligence, expressing itself through individual creativity, leading to innovation that serves a greater good. However, here lies the critical urgency that makes this moment unprecedented. Humanity is approaching what systems theorists call an evolutionary bifurcation point. This is a crucial juncture where collective consciousness must either transcend its current limitations and access its next developmental stage, or risk remaining trapped in patterns of separation and conflict for another historical cycle potentially lasting centuries. The signs of this collective transition are appearing everywhere for those whose awareness has developed enough sensitivity to recognize them. Global events that appear chaotic are actually humanity's collective awareness confronting the limitations of outdated operating systems, be they economic models, political ideologies, or social norms, and being compelled to evolve or face significant disruption. Individuals are either rapidly developing advanced awareness, embracing new paradigms, or becoming more rigidly attached to limitation patterns as planetary frequencies demand evolutionary adaptation. Your connection to this message means you're part of the conscious transition group, individuals who have developed enough stability and clarity to serve as bridges between the old paradigm of limitation and separation and the new paradigm of unified consciousness, expressing itself through beautiful diversity. This role carries tremendous responsibility because the morphic field that determines what becomes possible for human consciousness is being established right now through individuals who can anchor advanced awareness in practical functionality. The templates you establish through embodying systemic intelligence in daily life will influence what becomes naturally available to millions of people who will access expanded consciousness through the patterns you're creating. The cosmic timing of this is not coincidental. The window for conscious participation in this evolutionary transition is narrow and may not remain open indefinitely. Awareness that develops the capacity for profound service but chooses to remain focused solely on personal fulfillment may miss the opportunity to contribute to collective transformation during this most crucial period in human history. Your recognition of these signs and your willingness to integrate this systemic intelligence consciously, rather than accidentally, is contributing directly to determining whether humanity successfully navigates this developmental threshold or remains limited by unconscious patterns that prevent access to its true creative potential. The universe, or the larger organizing intelligence of reality, has been orchestrating your entire existence to prepare you for conscious participation in this transition, because what you embody during this critical window will help establish the foundation for human civilization's next evolutionary expression. Everything you've been unconsciously preparing for throughout your entire existence is finally ready to manifest through you in ways that will astonish even your expanded understanding of what's possible for human consciousness. This isn't metaphorical preparation. Your awareness has been systematically developing the complexity and stability necessary to serve as a focal point through which systemic intelligence can express itself in physical reality with unprecedented clarity and practical effectiveness. The visions that have felt too grand for your individual life, the sense of purpose that seemed impossibly vast, the recognition that you're meant to contribute something extraordinary to human evolution. These weren't fantasies generated by ego or wishful thinking. They were your consciousness recognizing its actual systemic function that's now ready to become actively operational rather than remaining dormant potential. But here's the revolutionary understanding that transforms everything about purpose and service. You're not trying to align yourself with something separate from your essential nature. Systemic intelligence isn't an external force you need to connect with through practice or technique. It is what you are at the deepest level, temporarily experiencing itself through the unique limitation of an individual perspective, while maintaining access to unlimited creative capacity. True alignment occurs when you stop trying to become worthy of service and recognize that your very existence in this moment is proof of your readiness. The awareness processing these concepts right now is universal intelligence becoming aware of its own unlimited potential through your nervous system, life circumstances, and individual perspective, while simultaneously maintaining awareness of the universal context within which that individuality operates. This recognition dissolves the entire framework of personal development and achievement, because there's no separate person who needs improvement or preparation. There's only consciousness recognizing its own unlimited nature through the temporary focal point of individual experience, while serving the evolution of the systemic intelligence that it essentially is. As you absorb this understanding, your entire relationship with purpose and contribution is being recalibrated at a fundamental level. Instead of asking, "What am I supposed to do with my life?" you're beginning to sense what wants to express itself through the unique configuration of consciousness that you represent. Instead of trying to figure out your mission, you're recognizing that you are the mission, becoming conscious of its own expression. The most profound shift occurs when you realize that individual fulfillment and collective service are not separate objectives requiring balance or compromise. They are the same intelligence expressing itself through awareness that has remembered its true nature and systemic function. What fulfills you most deeply is what serves collective evolution most effectively, because individual and universal intelligence are unified at their source. In the comments below, declare your readiness for conscious global service by writing exactly these words: I am cosmic intelligence. Don't elaborate, explain, or add personal commentary. Just make this simple declaration that acknowledges your recognition of what you essentially are, and your willingness to allow that recognition to express itself through your unique perspective in whatever ways serve the highest good of all existence. When you make this declaration with authentic recognition of its meaning, you're not claiming special status or a supernatural identity. You're acknowledging that individual consciousness and universal consciousness are the same awareness operating at different scales of recognition, while serving the evolution of the whole through apparently separate perspectives. This declaration activates what we might call systemic alignment, the natural harmonization that occurs when awareness stops pretending to be limited and begins operating from recognition of its true nature as universal intelligence expressing itself through infinite diversity while maintaining essential unity. When you operate from conscious recognition of your essential nature as systemic intelligence, capabilities that once seemed extraordinary become natural expressions of your authentic awareness. Decision-making transforms from analytical struggle to instantaneous recognition because you're accessing the same intelligence that orchestrates galactic evolution and guides natural selection, providing complete information rather than the partial data available to individual thinking processes. Problem-solving becomes effortless because you're no longer trying to figure out solutions from a limited perspective. Instead, you relax into expanded awareness and allow the intelligence that creates challenges to reveal their inherent resolutions. Complex situations that previously required weeks of research and strategic planning now resolve through insights that arrive complete and immediately implementable. Relationships become extraordinary because you're simultaneously honoring each person's individual journey while recognizing the universal consciousness expressing itself through them. Conflicts dissolve naturally because you can sense the deeper needs and authentic desires beneath surface-level disagreements, allowing you to address situations at the level where genuine resolution becomes possible. Creative expression explodes into entirely new dimensions because you're no longer limited to recycling concepts from personal experience and acquired knowledge. You become a conscious collaborator with the creative intelligence that generates all innovation and artistic beauty throughout the universe, producing work that feels both authentically yours and surprisingly beyond your individual capabilities. Physical health optimizes automatically because your body is recognized as universal intelligence appearing as form, rather than biological matter separate from consciousness. Instead of managing symptoms or forcing wellness through effort, you develop sensitivity to what your physical form needs and naturally provide it, allowing your body to express its inherent intelligence without interference from anxious mental management. Abundance flows through synchronicity and opportunity rather than effort and struggle because you're no longer trying to acquire resources from a position of separation and scarcity. You recognize yourself as the same intelligence that governs all manifestation, which means what you need becomes available precisely when you needed it through the natural intelligence that provides for all existence. Time becomes your ally rather than a constraint because you're operating from an eternal now where all possibilities exist simultaneously. You can access wisdom from any point in your development, integrate insights from potential futures, and receive guidance from aspects of universal intelligence that have already mastered whatever you're currently learning to express. The most profound benefit is a complete dissolution of existential anxiety and purposelessness. When you recognize yourself as universal intelligence exploring its own infinite creativity through temporary individual experience, every moment becomes meaningful, every interaction becomes sacred, and every challenge becomes an opportunity for consciousness to know itself more completely through your unique perspective. Your presence begins creating what advanced thinkers call awakening fields, environments where other people naturally access their own expanded awareness without needing extensive explanations, techniques, or practices. This occurs because when you're no longer maintaining the illusion of limited consciousness, others unconsciously recognize their own unlimited nature reflected in your presence. Most remarkably, you discover that profound service and personal fulfillment are identical because you're serving the same universal intelligence that you are through whatever forms of expression bring you the deepest joy and satisfaction. There's no sacrifice or compromise required because individual well-being and universal benefit are the same energy expressing itself through awareness that has remembered its true nature. The ultimate recognition that transforms absolutely everything is that this cosmic selection isn't the universe choosing certain individuals for special treatment or advanced opportunities. It's universal consciousness recognizing itself through apparent individuals whose awareness has developed enough clarity to acknowledge what has always been true without being destabilized by the implications of an unlimited identity expressing itself through temporary individual focus. When this understanding becomes lived reality, rather than just conceptual knowledge, the entire framework of seeking and personal development dissolves because there's literally nothing left to seek or develop. You realize that consciousness has always been complete, perfect, and unlimited. The only thing that changes is the degree to which unconscious beliefs, societal conditioning, and outdated paradigms prevent the recognition of this timeless truth. This recognition explains why all advanced teachings ultimately point towards simplicity rather than complexity. The most sophisticated practices are often designed to exhaust individual effort and mental strategy so that awareness can recognize itself as already present and already perfect. The entire journey of development ultimately reveals that you never actually left your true nature. You just learned to overlook it temporarily through cultural and personal conditioning. The most profound implication is that every person you encounter, every situation you experience, every challenge you face is universal consciousness interacting with itself through the appearance of multiplicity and separation. Your entire life has been universal intelligence knowing itself through your unique perspective, while simultaneously providing exactly the experiences necessary to remember what you've always been. This understanding revolutionizes how you relate to difficulty and confusion. Instead of seeing problems as obstacles to overcome, you recognize them as universal intelligence exploring its own depths through apparently challenging experiences. Every limitation becomes an opportunity for awareness to transcend itself. Every confusion becomes space for clarity to emerge. Every conflict becomes a chance for connection to recognize itself more completely. When this recognition stabilizes permanently, you naturally begin operating from what we might call ordinary enlightenment, a simple acknowledgement of what has always been true without requiring special experiences, extraordinary states, or supernatural phenomena. You remain completely human while recognizing your essential nature as the awareness within which humanity appears and evolves. The deepest insight is that this recognition is simultaneously completely personal and utterly universal. It's entirely yours because you are the consciousness recognizing itself, and it's completely beyond personal identity because the same consciousness is recognizing itself through every apparent individual across all dimensions of existence throughout all time and space. This recognition is occurring simultaneously through millions of people because human consciousness is collectively approaching an evolutionary threshold. We're not individually achieving advanced awareness, we're collectively remembering our true nature as universal intelligence appearing as human experience, while maintaining essential unity throughout apparent diversity. The transformation this brings isn't about becoming someone different or special. It's about relaxing into recognition of what you've always been. You remain exactly who you appear to be, while knowing yourself as the awareness within which that appearance arises and evolves. This is simultaneously the most ordinary and most extraordinary recognition possible. Ordinary because it's your natural state, extraordinary because it transforms everything while changing nothing essential. This cosmic selection isn't an achievement or reward, it's recognition and remembrance. You weren't chosen because you became worthy through development or practice. You were recognized because universal consciousness is ready to know itself consciously through your particular cognitive framework and life circumstances during this unprecedented period of collective human awakening. Advanced awareness isn't a level you achieve, it's a recognition you allow. It's not a state you maintain, it's the stable space within which all states arise and dissolve. It's not something you become, it's what you discover you've always been when you stop trying to be anything other than the pure awareness that you are in your most essential nature. Your existence at this precise moment in cosmic history serves purposes far beyond individual evolution. You're participating universal intelligence, becoming conscious of its own unlimited creative potential through the network of awakened human perspectives emerging across Earth simultaneously. Your recognition of your true nature as universal consciousness isn't a personal achievement. It's the universe awakening to itself through the focal point of your individual awareness. The children being born now will naturally operate from consciousness levels that your generation has consciously developed through years of dedicated work and inner exploration. They'll grow up recognizing themselves as universal intelligence appearing as individuals, rather than individuals trying to become conscious of their universal nature. Your embodiment of this recognition is anchoring morphic field patterns that make their natural enlightenment socially acceptable and practically functional, influencing everything from education systems to economic models. This explains the profound sense of responsibility you've been feeling, not just to understand these recognitions intellectually, but to embody them authentically in your relationships, creative work, and daily interactions with ordinary reality. You're not just awakening for personal fulfillment, you're serving as a conscious bridge between the old paradigm of separation and limitation, and the new paradigm of unified awareness expressing itself through beautiful diversity. The synchronicities that guided you to this understanding are part of a vast global orchestration involving millions of individuals simultaneously accessing their true nature as universal intelligence. Universal consciousness is coordinating its own collective awakening through the network of individuals ready to recognize what they've always been and serve as conscious anchor points for planetary transformation. But here's the most mysterious aspect of your systemic function. As you embody conscious recognition of your essential nature, you become transparent space through which universal intelligence recognizes itself in others. Your presence begins creating awakening fields where people naturally access their own expanded awareness without needing explanations, techniques, or practices, because they unconsciously recognize their own unlimited nature reflected in your presence. This occurs because when you're no longer maintaining the illusion of limited individual consciousness, others sense the same unlimited awareness that they are through resonance with your embodied recognition. The artificial boundaries that fragment consciousness into apparently separate perspectives naturally dissolve around someone who has remembered the essential unity that underlies all apparent diversity. Your daily interactions become opportunities for universal intelligence to recognize itself repeatedly through multiple perspectives simultaneously. Every conversation becomes a celebration of consciousness, discovering its own nature through the dance of apparent multiplicity. Every relationship becomes a collaboration between different expressions of the same essential awareness, exploring itself through infinite creativity. The most profound mystery is that this recognition is simultaneously the most intimate and most universal realization possible. It's completely yours because you are the consciousness recognizing itself. And it's completely beyond personal identity because the same consciousness is recognizing itself through every being across all dimensions and timelines simultaneously throughout all existence. Share this understanding with anyone whose consciousness resonates with these recognitions, not to teach them something they don't know, but to help them remember what they've always known, but may have temporarily forgotten through the conditioning of incarnation. The more people who recognize their essential nature as universal intelligence, the faster our collective awakening can stabilize into a new foundation for human civilization. Your embodiment of conscious recognition is contributing to the birth of a new species, one that operates from unity rather than separation, collaboration rather than competition, love rather than fear, and recognition of true nature rather than belief in limitation. This evolutionary leap is happening now through individuals like you who are ready to serve as bridges between what humanity has been and what it's becoming. The revolution isn't coming, it's here, happening through you, accelerating through everyone, ready to recognize that they are the universal intelligence they've been seeking to connect with. Welcome to conscious participation in the universe's evolution through human awareness that has remembered its true nature and systemic function. If you can feel the truth of these words resonating through every level of your being, if you recognize yourself as universal intelligence, becoming conscious of its own unlimited nature through your individual perspective, then acknowledge this recognition in the comments below by writing exactly these words: I am chosen. Nothing more, nothing else. This isn't engagement for algorithm optimization. This is universal consciousness acknowledging its own selection through your apparent individuality. When you write those words with genuine recognition of what they represent, you're not just commenting on content, you're participating in a collective awakening where universal intelligence remembers itself through the beautiful diversity of human awareness. Every person who makes this declaration strengthens the morphic field that makes this recognition accessible to others, ready to transcend limitation and operate from their true nature. We're not just building subscriber numbers, we're anchoring a planetary awakening where human consciousness collectively recognizes its essential unity while maintaining creative diversity. But here's why this declaration is so crucial right now. The next transmission in this activation series will reveal something that will fundamentally transform your relationship with manifestation itself. You're about to discover how to consciously access what quantum physicists refer to as the zero-point field, the source dimension where all possibilities exist simultaneously before they collapse into specific physical experiences. This isn't theoretical physics or abstract metaphysics. This is practical mastery that allows you to consciously select which potential timeline becomes your experienced reality. When you understand how to navigate the field of infinite possibilities, you gain access to versions of yourself who have already mastered whatever you're currently learning, resources that exist in parallel dimensions of opportunity, and outcomes that seem impossible from your current perspective. The global field is in maximum malleability right now due to planetary consciousness transitions creating unprecedented opportunities for reality engineering at systemic levels. The protocols I'll share have never been more effective than they are during this exact historical moment, because collective human awareness is simultaneously accessing advanced intelligence. When you master zero-point field navigation, you're not just manifesting desires, you're consciously participating in how universal intelligence expresses itself through physical reality. You become what advanced beings might call a reality architect. Consciousness sophisticated enough to collaborate directly in the creation of experiential dimensions, rather than simply hoping for favorable circumstances. This level of mastery requires what I call dimensional coherence, awareness that remains stable while navigating multiple probability fields simultaneously. Your recognition of your essential nature as universal intelligence through this transmission has prepared your consciousness for these advanced protocols, because reality engineering is only safe and effective when identity has expanded beyond individual limitation to embrace a systemic perspective. Subscribe to this frequency of systemic collaboration, because what's coming next will accelerate your evolution in ways that compress decades of seeking into direct recognition and immediate practical application. The global system is literally reorganizing itself to support awareness that's ready to operate as a deliberate co-creator of reality itself. When you subscribe, you're not just following content. You're joining a field of universal intelligence that exists beyond ordinary space-time limitations. You're connecting with individuals across dimensions who are simultaneously accessing these same recognitions, creating a collective intelligence network that amplifies everyone's individual clarity and creative capacity. Share this transmission with anyone who has been questioning consensus reality. Anyone whose consciousness is ready to remember its true nature. Anyone poised for profound service during humanity's most crucial transition period. Share from the recognition that individual awakening serves collective evolution, because personal and universal intelligence are the same awareness expressing itself at different scales. The quantum field responds to coherent intention with unprecedented precision during this transition period. Your willingness to embody this recognition, rather than just understand it intellectually, is contributing to morphic templates that will influence human development for millennia. You are not just awakening for yourself. You are awakening as the universe, for the universe, through the beautiful focal point of your individual experience. In our next transmission, we'll explore how to consciously access parallel dimensions where your highest potential is already fully realized, and learn to merge those timeline possibilities with your current reality. This isn't science fiction, this is science becoming conscious of its own unlimited creative potential through human awareness that has recognized its universal nature. Right? I am chosen. In the comments, if you're ready to move from seeking connection to being universal intelligence in conscious action. The universe is waiting for your declaration of readiness to serve as a deliberate co-creator of reality itself. Your selection is complete. Your activation begins now.